Greetings, YouTube. In the era before home entertainment systems, theaters were often filled with a genre of movies known as the monster movie. Particularly in the 50s and 60s, into the 70s, not so much. But there were some. And they were frequently low budget, things that would be often knocked out by a studio, not based in the U.S. frequently, as, things that might be shown in second-run theaters or in drive-ins, things like that. Things designed to maybe a little scare, a little mystery, a few thrills. They weren't very deep. They weren't overly complex. They were supposed to be essentially video popcorn in many ways. Of course, they have a large following. People love monster movies. I myself used to while away Saturday afternoons watching Creature Double Feature, a wonderful show that was played in, was it WGBH out of Boston, I think it was. And right after that, they played the Kung Fu Theater, where you get to watch martial art movies. So that was a Saturday afternoon for me. I used to love those films. Well, this, Deep Blue Sea, with Samuel L. Jackson, is in fact a classic monster movie. It also stars Thomas Jane, LL Cool J, Michael Rappaport, and Stellan Skarsgård. And as all the other kinds of monster movies I just referred to, you don't want to look too deep into the movie. It simply isn't going to stand up to scrutiny. But if you take it on its surface, if you just look at the film as a piece of entertainment, you can in fact have a good time. And Deep Blue Sea is in fact a good example of this. I see it as a very much of an homage to the earlier era of films. Now, Rennie Harlin is the director, and he did Long Kiss Goodnight, which I've reviewed and really enjoyed. Cutthroat Island, a film that I finally picked up on DVD, and I need to watch again. I haven't watched it in ages, but I enjoyed it when I saw it. And Die Hard 2, admittedly inferior to the original Die Hard, but still an excellent movie. And he's made a number of other films, many of which I haven't seen. But he knows how to put together an entertaining, good time. You aren't going to find a lot of studios teaching his style as something to be emulated, nor are students going to really be studying his work in college courses. But if you're looking for a fun time, you can't really go wrong with a Rennie Harlin movie. Now, the story of Deep Blue Sea is a very wealthy man has paid for a base out in the middle of the ocean to fund medical research using sharks. The concept being that since sharks don't get a number of diseases, for example, cancer, that by using the enzymes and the genetic structures within a shark, you will then be able to create transgenetic treatments that will help humans. Be able to, xenogenetic treatments, crossing them over from animals to the human world. And the owner, played by Samuel L. Jackson, decides that he wants to see what this place is, because someone has basically asked for a whole lot of money, and so he wants to see what is the justification for my spending this. Am I getting a good return on my dollar? Is there a chance that I'm ever going to make a profit off this kind of thing? He's a businessman, though he does have some altruistic tendencies. So they fly out to the base. The researcher shows him the place and the sharks that they are working on. Very large sharks. Why they would use very large sharks is a mystery to me, because characteristics that they're attempting to study would do just as well to study small sharks. But sharks that were in the 3 to 4 foot range would probably have made a much less scary film than sharks that were in the 13 to 14 foot range. And they discover over the course of the early part of the film that things aren't quite normal with the sharks, and then things go very, very bad as the 3 research subjects that they've been working on start acting in ways that are very not shark-like. And of course, as things go bad, and the base that they're on, which is free-floating, slowly begins to sink, they begin to realize that the sharks in question are in fact not purely sharks any longer. And eventually you get the reveal, and I don't consider this a spoiler, this film came out in 1999. You find out that the researcher has somehow spliced in human DNA into the shark in an effort to increase their brain size, because it is the brain enzymes that they are attempting to harvest, which probably really annoys the sharks. I can't imagine having my brain enzymes harvested and enjoying it. So, as they are attempting to survive the sinking of this base, and initially that's all they think it is, the base is sinking, we need to get our buns to the surface and then get some kind of rescue in here. They realize that the sharks are attempting to sink the base. Now, the sharks are supposed to be brighter than normal sharks, but less intelligent than humans. And while I can fully understand them doing things that are not shark-like, because they are smarter than the average shark, which I suppose means that they would then pursue picnic baskets, if Yogi Bear is any indication. There isn't any real justification, in my opinion, for why they do what they do. They make some conceptual leaps that I'm not sure that they could make. Not because they are not smart, possibly even primate-level smart, but because there really shouldn't be any connection between the world that they can perceive in their tanks and the actions they take during the film. Not that they aren't smart enough to take the actions, but I don't see any conceptual link, for example, between the shiny object in the corner of their cage, a camera, and the humans being able to observe them. I don't know if they had any way of seeing that, of making the connection between that object and the ability for humans to observe them, and that by removing that object, humans would no longer be able to observe them. It isn't that they are really smart animals, again, primate-level smart animals. It's like they are almost psychic, which I guess really shoves this film into the monster movie category. They are creatures that are doing things which are otherworldly. Now, this is a good time. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed LL Cool J. He really put in a great effort in this film. I really enjoyed seeing him. The director, Rennie Harlan, had nothing but praise. He's like, this guy was there. He was trying. He did everything he possibly could. A lot of this film was done in wet. These actors were wet for days and days, weeks at a stretch. And LL Cool J was the one guy in the cast that didn't give Harlan a hassle. You have Rennie Harlan's commentary track on this film, but you also have some Samuel L. Jackson commentary. And initially they are interspersed. You have a little Harlan and then a little Jackson, a little Harlan, a little Jackson. And I think initially it was designed to give you the impression that these two men are sitting in the room together, but they aren't. These tracks are completely separate. They have nothing to do with each other. And the Jackson footage does not, a commentary track does not go all the way through the footage, because in the film, and again, I'm not really spoiling anything, he dies. So, once his character dies, he no longer makes commentary on the film, though I'm not really sure why. The film in general was interesting enough. I would have been entertained by Jackson's comments on the film, even after the scenes he was no longer in. But that's just me. I listened to the Roadhouse commentary track that was done by Kevin Smith that had nothing to do with the film whatsoever, because he had no connection. It was still entertaining. So, if you like monster movies and you're not really concerned with the fact that they don't make a lot of sense, and the people are going to do dumb things, and there are going to be implausible twists of fate and implausible actions, and both the humans are going to do really stupid things and the monsters are going to do really smart, almost psychic things, then you could have a good time with the Deep Blue Sea. And if you like commentary tracks, It's entertaining. It wasn't anything earth-shattering. It's always a joy to listen to Mr. Jackson, and I find Rennie Harlin interesting in and of himself. I like his accent as well. He's got a Finnish accent. I like accent. So I recommend this. It's a good time. My wife and I enjoyed ourselves.